What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be looking at creating a 4-point perspective drawing. Okay. Previously we've looked at 1, 2, and 3 points, and now we are going to look at the fourth point of perspective, so 4-point perspective drawing. What we're going to do is we're going to flick across to Illustrator real quick, because for the 4-point perspective drawing we need to create a guide which is like what you guys can see on the screen right now. You can do that in Photoshop, but Illustrator is just far better. It's got the blend tool which we're going to use, which is just far better to create. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Alright, so we're just going to start off with a simple circle. So if we select the circle, the ellipse tool, we're going to change the setting so that it doesn't have a fill and it's just got a brief outline. Hold down the shift key so we get a perfect circle. There we go. We're then going to draw another ellipse, which is going to be a very thin ellipse, as thin as we can get it. There we go. And then we're going to place that in the center, so we're going to use our smart guides, and we're going to resize it just so that it fits perfectly within the circle. Alright, so now we've got these two circles. Looks kind of like a cat's eye. Just make sure that is in the center. Good. We're then going to go to our blend tool, which is this tool right here. We're going to double click on it to give us the options. We're going to change the settings, so it would have started off as smooth color. We're going to change that to specified steps. We're going to change the number to 8 steps, and I've put the orientation at align to path. Then we're going to hit OK. As you can see, when you hover your mouse over one part of whatever it is that you're going to blend from one to the other, then you get that little star symbol pop up. We're going to click onto the full circle, so we'll click that, and then across to the thin circle. You see a little plus symbol. When we do that, then it creates this grid for us. So we can use this grid. So if we save that, we're just going to save that. So file save. So I've already got it saved as 4-point grid, so it's all good. But we can use this for both 4 and 6-point perspective, which is going to be very good for us in the future. Alright, so now we have that saved and created, we can go back to our Photoshop document. So we're going to start off as we started off previously, just by creating our horizon line. So we're going to make that really thin, change the hardness. I'm going to create a new layer for that. We're going to put our horizon in the center. Just hold down the shift key. I've got opacity really low here, so I'm going to bring that opacity up. Right, so previously we've also created, using our polygon tool, we've created the template for the grid that we are using. So let's go ahead and draw that. So on the horizon line we're going to have 2 vanishing points. So with a 4-point perspective drawing, then we've got 4 vanishing points. So our first 2 vanishing points are going to be on our horizon line. So just holding down the shift key, 1. So you can see we've got our vanishing point on the edge. We're then going to go back to our polygon tool again, and we're going to create our second vanishing point. Bringing it right the way out. So now we can see we have, as we did previously, we've got our 2 points, which are a 2-point perspective. Now we are going to open our, we're going to bring in our 4-point grid, which was the circle that we just drew in Illustrator. I'm just going to drag and drop that in. We're going to hit OK. We're going to resize it to a point that we're happy with. Once we're happy with the size, so it sits perfectly on there. There we go. Cool. Right, so now we have our 4-point grid. So we've got our 4 point set for our perspective. So just hit the brush tool. I'm going to create a new layer. So we've got our got 1 point over here, 2 points, 3 points, and 4 points. So those are our 4 points for our 4-point perspective drawing. And when it comes to actually using this grid, as we can see, we've got this these nice curved lines which are going to act as our guides for our vertical lines. So let's go ahead, and what we usually do is we'll create a box just to give us for us to get a better understanding of how the grid system is actually working. Okay, so let's do that. So our horizontal line, so we've got our center line for our box, which we're going to just go straight down the center. So we're going to start from, say, here, bring that down. Now anything on, just as with the 2-point perspective, anything on the left side of that line is going to be going down towards the left, and above the horizon line is going to be going left and down towards that horizon. Anything on the right side is going to be going right and down towards that vanishing point. And the same as below. So anything below is going to be going up and towards that vanishing point. And anything on the left side is going to be going up and towards that vanishing point. Yeah, lovely jubbly. Now the difference with the 4-point perspective is that we have these curved lines. So our vertical lines, anything on which is on the left side or the right side of that center point, is going to be going curving down. Anything below the horizon line is going to be curving down towards this bottom vanishing point, and anything above it is going to be curving upwards towards that vanishing point. So rather than the lines being straight, then they are going to be nicely curved around the vanishing point. And of course, the more towards the vanishing points they are, then the more pronounced that curve will become. So if these lines were to have continued on, let me just make that slightly smaller. So if those lines were to have continued on, then they would have got even more curved, and then more towards the point, because again it's going towards that vanishing point, straight down, and then going up towards the vanishing point on the right, and then extending that curve even further. So we can see how that works, and if we were to continue it above, the same thing. So it's continuing up and then going, let's bring that center line right the way up, and then towards, down and towards, and then a nice curve. So you can see how that would work with the curve of that perspective, and that is the principle of 4-point perspective. Right, so it's introducing this curved element for these 2 points. So rather than it being straight as it was with the 3-point perspective, those lines are now curved because you're going towards the top and the bottom vanishing points. Right, so towards points 3 and 4, and that is the principle of a 4-point perspective drawing. You're getting that nice distortion of that kind of fish eye lens. So you're getting that distortion happening, but those are the principles. You know, so you decide which side you're going to have your light source on, which side would have your shading, and that is the principle of 4-point perspective.